First of all, hello to everyone. I hope you all are making good use of the information that we are providing to you regarding the chess. So this video is about one of the game that I won against a rated player. It was my first match that I won against a rated player in my second rated tournament and which I played in 2016. The first rated tournament that I played, it was in 2015, and I did not perform very well in that tournament. And but out of nine, I was able to secure 4.5 point. And my first match was with one IM. His name is Dinesh Sharma, and at that time his rating was 2385. Obviously, I was not able to win the match, but he gave me various advice, and he also recommended me one book. I took his advice seriously and start reading the book. After 4 to 5 months, I played a second rated tournament. In that second rated tournament, my first match was with Sudarshan Gopal. His rating was 1636, 1636, and fortunately I was able to win against him. So this game is analysis of that particular game. I hope this analysis will help you in improving your game. So we'll start with the game, and I was playing as a black, and my opponent Sudarshan Gopal, whose rating was 1636, he was playing as a white. So he opened with d4, queen's pawn opening. So generally, the high-rated players used to play queen pawn opening when they are playing against a low-rated player. The reason behind is because when you play d4, as the game progress, the uh, the board get more complex. The game become more complex in the middle game, and the high-rated player know that they will be able to handle such complex games. So they used to play d4, and if you are good in middle games, you think that you are good in making strategies, you have good tactical knowledge, and you can handle the complex situation, then I will recommend that you go with d4. Otherwise, e4 will be the best option. This e4 will be the best option. However, I don't know whether my opponent played with this intention or not, but he played d4, and I replied with g6. This is called as the modern defense. However, this is not a good defense because it is not following the principle of chess, which is called the center control, controlling the center. So the best reply to d4 should be knight to f6, because it will not allow e4 to come to, because it will not allow the pawn of e2 come to e4. We are not allowing our opponent to take a control over the center. However, I played g6 at that time. Yeah, g6. Then he played knight to f3. He should be playing e4 in order to control the center. But still, knight to f3 is a okay. It's a good move. Then I developed my bishop. He played c4. Then I played e6, because I was expecting that if I play e6, he will bring his bishop here in order to bishop to g5 in order to attack the queen, and after that I can bring my knight to this position. So I am protecting my queen. At the same time, I'm making a developing move. So he played his bishop to g5. I developed my knight. At the same time, I protected the queen, and then he played knight to c6, developing the knight. So I played b6 so that I can bring my white bishop into game. He played e4, controlling the center. I played bishop. Then he played queen to d2. So if you see the board, I I have developed most of my pieces, but this is actually not a good development, because the development should be near to the center. You can see this square. This is called as the central square. Okay, and the development should be in such a way that they're controlling these four squares. But if you look at my position, I'm making the development, but they're not taking a direct control over these four square. The main idea behind the development should be your pieces should be more near to the enemy territory so that they can create a good attack. And after that, he played d2, and I was expecting that he can play bishop in order to exchange with this bishop. So I played d6 so that I can bring my knight into action. I can develop the knight. So he played the bishop, and I played rook to g8. I broke my castling. There is a reason behind it because I was expecting that he can take my bishop and then afterward he can bring his queen. And I was thinking at that time to trap the queen. I will tell you how I was thinking about it. So let me check it. Yeah. So he just took the bishop. I took with my rook, and then he brought his queen to h6 in order to attack the rook. So I pushed my king to f8. Then he bring his knight to g5 in order to take control over this h7 pawn to take this pawn. So I pushed my king, and then he played h4. So he's planning to push his pawn forward so that he can um, bring this rook and queen in one line and attack and give me a checkmate threat. However, if you look from another angle, the queen is trapped in this position. So what can be the possibility if I bring my king to this position? If I bring my king to h8, then if he like pushes pawn, then I can simply bring my knight and can trap the queen. The only possibility is that he take this pawn and give me a check, then I can take the knight. And let's see how the game continue. So he pushed the pawn, and then I pushed my king to h8. So now he understood that I'm planning to take the queen. So he pushed his knight back. So instead of playing the knight to g8, I played knight to d7. After I will explain to you why I played this knight. The idea is to take control over this square, to block this square, because as the game progress you will understand that this place can be one of the spot for the queen to escape. So I want to block this spot. So he played h5. Then I pushed my pawn to g5. Now the same situation, that the queen is trapped, and even this spot is now captured by this knight. So it is a forced move. He have to take with the knight. Then I place my knight to g6. Now again the queen is trapped. The same situation happened. It's a forced move that he have to take this pawn. So that's what he did. He just took the pawn, and I took with a rook, and he now played queen to e3. He could have taken this pawn, but this pawn. However, I think that he forgot at that time. Maybe because he was afraid that because from the very beginning I was planning to take over the queen, or to trap the queen, just to make sure that his queen do not get trapped. I think he find it suitable to bring his queen back to the safe spot. Then I bring my queen into action. Now, one principle is, when you are ahead in material, you should start exchanging the pieces, and that's what I'm trying to do. Uh, First, I bring my queen into action. Now, I will start exchanging the pieces, because in the end game, this will be very helpful. So, in order to protect this pawn, because in case this queen move to, because this queen is protecting this pawn, And in case if the it is restricting the movement of this queen, because I can take this pawn. So he find it better to play this, mm, yeah, this pawn, the pawn to f3. Let me check it. Yes. Now the difficulty for me is this knight can still come to this position and can attack this pawn, and it will be a difficult situation because one of the piece of my enemy is in my territory. So in order to block it, I just played a6 so that the knight should not come to this spot. And then he played bishop to d3. So I played my queen to g7 in order to um, take over this pawn. So he pushed to g4 in order to protect. Then I again placed my queen. Then yeah, so I'm attacking this pawn from my queen, and in order to protect it, he just played his bishop here. So I place my queen. I'm offering a queen exchange because because I'm ahead in material. So it will be better if I start exchanging the queen first and then start exchanging the pieces. So he just took the queen, and the same thing like I told you, if you are ahead in material, then you should start exchanging the pieces. Vice versa is that if you are losing a material, like if you are if one of your pieces is your one piece down, you should not allow the opponent to you should not allow the exchange of the pieces, because those pieces can help you in to some extent. Maybe at least they can help you in giving the draw. So you should avoid exchanging if you are less in material. So he just took the queen, I took with my rook, and then he castled. Then because I was expecting that he can play this pawn to g5, so I placed my pawn to h6 in order to avoid this. So afterward he played this. I took this pawn. Then he placed his rook to g1 because he may be thinking that he can take this pawn afterward. Then I played my rook to h4, because if he take the pawn, I can still take the rook and can give a check. So he took the rook, I just took the pawn, and I played my, yeah, I took, then he played f4 to gain the control over the center. Then I played h6, and maybe at that time I forgot that this pawn is hanging, so he just took the advantage of it, or maybe because it's a time pressure, so he plays his rook. So in order to protect the knight, I just played my king to h7. He just took the pawn. So now he just took one of my pawn for free. So I played my rook to f8. He gave me a check. I pushed my rook exchange. He should not be doing the rook exchange because he's already less in material and he's starting to exchange the pieces, which is not good. So I took with the knight. Then he played his bishop in order to attack this knight. So I played my knight in order to attack this bishop. So he gave me a check, and I don't think so this check was necessary. He should be making some other move. So I just pushed my king here. Then he played e5 in order to attack the knight and at the same time to gain the control over the center. So I just took the pawn, and he again captured the pawn, and I captured with my knight this pawn. But if you see the position of white, I can at least say that these three pawns because they are more toward the center, and this is in the end game they are very helpful. So at least he is able to maintain a good center control from the pawn at least. So he pushed the pawn to e6. Then I played my knight to d6 to attack the bishop. So he just pushed the pawn to e7 because if I take the knight, he can still make the queen. So instead of that, I push my bishop because this bishop was for a long time it was not in action. So I just push my bishop so that I can bring the bishop in the game. So he played afterward bishop. Then I played my knight to f6 to attack the bishop as well as to check the spot for e8 so that this pawn do not get promoted to queen. Then he pushed his bishop to e6. Then I bring my bishop to f3 because this pawn has the chance to become to queen and this bishop is actually supporting it. Furthermore, the reason behind playing the bishop is to avoid the movement of the knight to this spot or this spot or this spot, because in case he plays knight, I will be capturing with the bishop because I know somehow I will be able to promote this pawn to queen. Only this knight will be a trouble. So in order to block the spot of the knight, I just play the bishop. So you can think of the possibility that how your pieces, whether you're making an attack with the pieces or you can use your pieces to restrict the movement of your opponent. That's what I'm doing here. I'm restricting the movement of the knight of my opponent. So he pushed his pawn, then the pawn exchange, then knight to e8. Now this pawn is blocked. He pushed his knight to this spot and I bring my bishop to d5 so that I can exchange the bishop. But instead he played c8 in order to attack the pawn. So first I protected the pawn. Then he played knight to e3 in order to attack the bishop. But I think he forgot that this pawn is hanging. So I immediately captured the pawn. Then he gave me a check. I think this was not required. Then I played uh, king to g5. He moved his knight back. Then I played bishop to d5 so that he can exchange. If he takes with the knight, I can still take with this knight. And because if he take with this knight, I can take with this knight. And this knight is attacking the pawn. There's no way that this pawn get this pawn get escape. I can still take it. So instead of exchanging, he just pushed his knight. So I bring my king in near to this pawn in order to capture. So he bring his bishop, then knight to f7, then bishop to h3, and I played knight to e4 so that I'm offering this bishop to my opponent, but at the same time I can fork the bishop and king of my opponent. I can exchange this bishop because because if I promote this pawn, when my pawn go into white spot, this bishop will be trouble. So in order, that's why this bishop need to be taken down. So instead of exchanging, he just prevented this, and I played my knight to g5. So he captured the. So he played the knight here because he was expecting that this pawn can become can be promoted to queen. So in order to avoid, he just pushed the knight here to capture the pawn. So I immediately captured the knight, sorry, the bishop. Then he captured the pawn. Then I captured this particular pawn. Now there is no chance that white can win because I can still exchange this knight with my these two knight or with a bishop. Anything is possible, and these two pawn will be promoted to queen afterward because if this knight is taken down, other two pieces can take control over these two pawns, and these pawns, rest of my pawns, this and this, will be promoted to queen. So at this point, my opponent resigned. So that's how I finally able to win the match against a rated player. I was unrated at that time. So one thing I understood at after playing him and after the tournament, that if you follow some of the principle of chess, not like whole book, even if you follow like 3 to 4 principle, you can still get the rating of at least 1500 to 1600. Because after looking, because now the knowledge that I have, the depth that I have, particularly to the chess, I'm able to see my game, like what are the mistake I have made and what are the mistake my opponent has made. And I can clearly see even my opponent, though he is having 1600 rating, but there are many things he do not know regarding the principle. He's not following the basic principle. So even if you follow, and I was following the principle, few of the principle. So even if you follow few principles, like 3 to 4 principle, you will be able to get at least the rating of 1600 to 1700. And if you work hard, then you can achieve you can get to the higher ratings. I hope this analysis has helped you in any possible way. If you have any query, you can message in the comment box. I will be very happy to answer to that query. Thank you.